Guys, if you're in a walking simulator, I guess this might be for you, but it's showtime, folks. In a Violent Nature is the newest horror release that we've gotten this weekend. And, you know, going into this film, I literally went in blind. I just didn't look into it at all whatsoever. I just remember seeing like bits of the trailer of the back of the, you know, new slasher's head, and just seeing like, you know, the same old stuff you see when it comes to like these horror movie trailers that are trying to hide what they're gonna do. In that sense, maybe I was intrigued a little bit, but then I realized why the trailer was cut that way, and we're gonna get into that. So, in A Violent Nature, the plot literally revolves around the, you know, new slasher on the market named Johnny, who wants this golden little locket back pretty bad. It's pretty much the plot. Seriously, it's just a faceless character at the beginning of the film takes a locket from this like tree branch or like something off of the ground, and the rest of the movie is Johnny trying to get this locket back. That's the plot without getting into any spoilers. And I might honestly do a spoiler alert at the end of this movie just to get into a little bit of the details of it, but I'm digressing a little bit. Guys, I'm not gonna lie, this is brutal. This was a brutal watch. Not in the sense of a slasher either. This was just a hard watch to get through. And so we're gonna start off, like I've said, at Chuco's Powerhouse Cinema. I think there's a place for all types of film in the realm of cinema, you know what I mean? And I'm gonna do my best to do pros when it comes to even things like this. So we're gonna try. So here we go. And pro number one, I do have to give it up for the sound design. There is no music in this film, like nothing. There's no that like eerie score that's gonna have you like worried about what's coming next or anything like that. There is literally zero. I think maybe at the end they throw it in to lead into the credits, I think. But the rest of the movie is zero sound, and I think that makes the movie a little bit more immersive as far as like what the situation is in this wooded area. So for example, when Johnny is walking around, which he does a lot of walking around, like cross country walking around. This guy just walks and walks and walks and walks. But anyway, when he's walking around, you hear the crunching of the leaves in the forest. You know what I'm saying? You hear the breeze, you hear the birds, you hear the thump when something's happening, the real violent kind of just thump, thump. Great sound design. I gotta give it to them for being authentic to that, okay? And that, like I said, plays into the immersion of the film. The next thing I think that is done well, and this is my second pro, is the tension building. With the sound design comes this idea, I think, that, okay, we're gonna have to work with what we have, and that is no music, right? But for some reason, in this film, in A Violent Nature, the lack of music honestly feeds into the tension, and that's something that I could see as a pro. You know, as much as I disliked this movie, I'm just gonna be flat out, I disliked it. I don't think it's something that is like dying to be seen in theaters again. Dying. As much as I think that, there was tension there. There were times where I was just wondering, okay, this guy Johnny in his nice little stroll through the woods forever is at least building tension, because this guy is just walking around and you don't know what he's gonna do. You don't know what's going through his head at all. There's not a lot of lore that goes into it. And he's just walking around, and once the first, you know, happens, it is pretty brutal. It is essentially a piece of Terrifier light, okay? And we're gonna get into a little bit more of that. But the tension building is there. And I think the film did a decent job at building tension. So that would have to be my second pro for this film. A third pro that I have, and this might get into mix later whenever I talk about it, is the camera work. The camera work is pretty basic as far as I could tell, you know what I mean? It's one of those things where it felt a little bit more of an amateur kind of look. This is definitely a B tier leveled film. And this is not to take shots at whoever made it. I'm sure there's a lot of effort I know there's a lot of effort that goes into making film. And I hate to come across as somebody that's just gonna be overly critical on it. But with that said, there's a lot of single long take shots that are kind of interesting. You know what I mean? Like I said, my boy Johnny is walking the whole freaking movie, just walking around. And a lot of the camera work is over the shoulder of Johnny. So you're getting a perspective of him walking through it. And it's truly like a, if you're a gamer, a Resident Evil, kind of original Resident Evil kind of feel to it. And there's something cool about that. There was something cool about being able to follow Johnny on his little journey. And we have these long pans across the screen of our, I guess, protagonist, because we're gonna get into that, just sitting around a campfire telling this story. And it's just this long pan around, and like I said, it helps build the tension. And I think the camera work is something that should be applauded, or maybe at least a single clap for. Applause is a lot to, this isn't quite 1917, you know, anyway, I digress. And then the last two pros, I'm just gonna merge into one really, and that goes into the practical effects and the over-the-top, and I mean over-the-top Terrifier level gore in this film. I call it a pro because this movie is very dull. It is very, very dull. I mean, guys, it is very slow, very, very, very slow paced. However, when you get to the areas when the slasher finally starts to slash, whoa, like just even the, maybe not the first time, but when you finally see what this guy can do, it's up there on the Art the Clown level kind of stuff. It's just like, what did this guy just do? What is going on? Okay, now I'm kind of intrigued. I thought from that point forward, we're gonna see, okay, this guy is gonna start doing some stuff, this guy. And I think a lot of it is practical effects. As a matter of fact, there's a part in the film which is gonna be, this is a semi-con, I gotta be honest, but it's also cool to see that it was practical, because there is a portion of this film where Johnny, our new slasher, is dragging a body behind him and carrying a different part of that prop guy, and you can clearly see it's a body, but it's so well done and it's practical. And that's something that I think is being lost in cinema. A lot of it, you know, especially with horror movies, you just get a lot more of the computerized stuff, a lot more of this CGI, all this, that there's something charming about practical effects that I think is missing in film nowadays. And there's something that I applauded in this. At least there was a lot of practical effects, and that is where the pros end. And here we go. The cons. The writing was atrocious. Atrocious writing. I mean, I have no idea what was going on here. It's a slasher movie, you know, and it's a B-tier slasher movie right off the gate, like I said. But like the characters are just saying like the most random stuff. It's like Tommy Wiseau just went in there and just started saying lines for a horror movie, you know what I mean? Or wrote lines for a horror movie.
I did not hit her. It's not true. It's bullshit. I did not hit her. I did not. Oh, hi, Mark.
And then just gave them to somebody to do it. At least on my level. There's still some logic to what they're saying, I guess. And most of them are just exposition dumps, especially because it goes to our survivors. Guys, to be completely honest with you, I don't even know what the survivors' names were. Our protagonists, they had names because the credits rolled and they had names, but it's like so hit and miss that I was just like, okay, how am I gonna get invested in these characters? That's part of the writing, is how am I gonna get invested in these characters? What a slasher does well, as far as what I think slashers do well, is getting you attached at least to a single character that you want to see succeed against the slasher. You know what I mean? You have to be attached to somebody for this film to work, because if I don't like any of you, then why am I even pulling for any of you guys to make it out of this forest? Why'd you take his locket? Why'd you take his... It's very simple. And then it's bad. I'm sorry. I'm trying to keep this short, but there is a lot of cons, so we're gonna keep moving. My second con is it is deathly, death march slow. This movie is slow. When I said walking simulator, guys, picture this is a guy in the forest walking for about, if this movie is 90 minutes long, this guy is walking at least an hour of the runtime is just camera work behind his shoulder. This guy walking. This guy walks everywhere. He's gonna give Mikey a freaking run for his money. And that's something that I just don't, it was a cool gimmick in the beginning, you know, just following him and being like, okay, we got this single shot. This guy's just trudging along. This guy has no care in the world except getting this locket, and it shows the determination. But dude, this guy was like Celine Dion. He walked all night. He didn't drive all night. He just walked all night to get to these people. And I can't, it's so slow. Like, it was laughably slow. You know what I mean? And that plays into like, you really couldn't get away from this guy? Granted, he probably caught some people off guard, fair, but you couldn't get away from this guy? Are you serious? That's just my second con, I get it. Another con I have, and I guess this goes into the writing, is every single horror movie trope, literally everyone, from the kind of jock character to the innocent type girl to the super woke person to the one that's like super anti-woke, like they're all in this. They're all in this. The stoner, the drinker, like it's all in there, and they all are they're laughably bad characters. Like I'm not rooting for any of them. It's like I see them all around the campfire interacting, and I'm like, which one is the guy I'm supposed to start caring about, or the girl, final girl? Which one is it gonna be? Because any one of these at this point doesn't matter. And that's just terrible for a slasher, in my opinion. But you know, this is my humble Chuco opinion, but whatever. Characters are shallow. Like I said, it goes into like not being attached to them. They're just shallow. The dialogue delivery is shallow. It's just not, it's just surface level. It's just cannon fodder, which is okay, I guess, if you're trying to make your killer interesting, but not even that. It doesn't even work towards that. So that's something that I think was just done very, very poorly. What I think is a con of this movie is it's like the ghosts of other slashers. You know what I mean? I applaud in the nature of violence for trying to be something new. You know what I mean? It's not a spin-off of anything. It's not a continuation of some, you know, franchise that we already have or whatever, but I still see echoes and like little things of other slashers that are just far more successful that I'd rather watch those if I'm gonna watch the same thing. Like I mentioned before, I got Michael Myers vibes with the walking, with the stalking. Like that's what he was doing for the most of the film, standing while they're talking around the campfire. You know, these guys can't see him. Apparently all of our characters are just blind. I also got a lot of Jason Voorhees, kind of the build, the way he walks around, just his character design as a whole is just more Jason Voorhees to me. And like I said, even when we did get to the part where he starts doing what a slasher does, I got a lesser version of Art the Clown, which if you're a fan of the Terrifier franchise, you'll understand what I mean. It's just a lesser version of that. And it's like, okay, well there's echoes, there's chances being taken here, but it's just echoes of something that I've already seen that I already prefer. So why would I go do that? And that's unfortunately a con for me. And this can be said about, I think, most of the horror movies that have come out this year, but this con in particular, stupid stupid, and I mean absolutely dumb decision making by our protagonist. These guys are dumb. I was writing notes and I was like, dumb, all caps, stupid. Oh my God, the guy standing right in front of you, you can't see him. You just can't see him. He's just dark. I can't see. What do you mean? I'm not gonna get it. It's just, why? I'm gonna do something a little different with this because I have complicated feelings because, like I said, there's echoes of something here. I really think that there's potential in this, which is really bad because I thought coming out of it that it was a clear one, and the more I've sat with this movie for a couple of days now, I just can't give it a 1 because there's mixed things in this movie. So maybe this B-movie aesthetic is what they were shooting for, and maybe that's something that they want, and I can kind of see how that style potentially could appeal to like a deep cut slasher fan. And I mean a deep cut slasher fan. You're gonna have to be one of those like, yeah, slasher, I want to watch this morning, evening, and night kind of person. I for one am not like that, so this was just brutal. But there's something, there's a little bit of something there. I was laughing out loud at the practical effects of it, but it's still kind of bad. And this isn't even a con, this is a mix. And I'm trying to give this movie some kind of leeway. And something else I have to say is a mixed portion. Like I said before on my cons, when it comes to the killers and it being something resembling all like previous slashers, when you're reaching for something original, and I see the echoes, especially like of Terrifier, of Art the Clown, I want you to do more with what you are trying to do, you know, as a new slasher, as somebody new on the field trying to make your name in the horror community, that is. I want to see you do something that's unique, you know what I mean? Like the getup, everything was cool. I don't know if it's been released, and I don't know if it's a spoiler to even bring it up, but it's like an old styled, it's an old styled firefighter kind of outfit, which is cool. Which is cool. I mean, I'm sure it's gonna be a cool mask in Halloween to kind of wear or whatever, but I didn't see enough, and I know there's something there. I know there's something that you're reaching for to be unique, and I just wish they had just done it better. So all in all, guys, getting into my rating, I think this is honestly a 2, and I mean a low 2. This is barely hitting the 2 mark out of 5. So you're telling me there's a chance. I think there's a lot more complicated in this movie than meets the eye. I think the deep cut slasher fan might enjoy this, but it is god-awful slow. God-awful slow. And it's not something new or unique or anything like that. It's just literally a guy walking around for this pendant. Just give him his pendant. Just give it to him. But what did you think of In a Violent Nature? Did I catch you in time before you went and saw this walk-in simulator? Did you watch it? What are your thoughts? Leave them down in the comments below. Or leave a comment down below of what you'd like to see me cover in the future. I'm working on some power picks. I'm also trying to do my first top 10 something. So why don't you leave a recommendation about what top 10 you'd like to see from Chuco, you know what I mean? So I'm really excited to do those. There's a lot of stuff that I want to talk about when it comes to movies, but I've been trying to keep up with the recent releases to keep you guys posted so you guys can save your money if it's not worth it and just wait for streaming, like I said. But also, if you're new to the channel, consider subscribing, because why not? Johnny's still walking to get us, so it'll be a while till he gets here. Subscribe, please, please. Just kidding. And we have, if not, we'd appreciate it if you like and share this video. It really helps us grow. And guys, I read all the comments. I appreciate everybody's thoughts. I think everybody's thoughts are important. And I really love talking film. So if you guys are so inclined, feel so inclined, leave a comment. Let's get together. Come to the coast, get together, have a few laughs. And guys, when you subscribe, always remember something my friend Johnny used to tell me, and that's